Acceptance rate does matter, and here's how I figured it out. It all started about 3 months ago when I decided to accept every single order DoorDash sent me for an entire week. This was back when I used to cherry pick, so my acceptance rate at the beginning of that challenge was well below 40%. Throughout that week, as my acceptance rate increased, I noticed so did the quality of orders I was receiving. Now I couldn't come to a definite answer since I figured it was because the weekend brings in better orders anyway, so that was probably it. So a few weeks later, I decided to do the challenge again, but this time with a good acceptance rating. This way I could compare the average dollar per mile ratio for the orders I got of both weeks and get a good understanding of whether or not DoorDash cared about acceptance rating. And to my surprise, it made a pretty big difference. My acceptance rating went all the way up into the 90% range, and it definitely showed how it affects the orders DoorDash sends you. Every single day I saw my dollar per mile ratio be better than the previous week of accepting every order. Not only that, but I also was rarely ever receiving bad no-tip orders.
Haven't seen a $3 or a $2 order in probably a week.
Now let me backtrack a little bit. The reason I had to accept every order was to take out the biggest variable of this whole experiment, your option to decline whatever orders you want. By taking out this variable, I could truly see the difference in the orders I got. Now you might be thinking,
Blake, that doesn't really prove anything. You could have just gotten lucky that second week.
and that is true. That could very well be true. But that's why just a couple days ago, I decided to test this theory out even further. So a couple days ago, I decided to go out and DoorDash. It was around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I was just getting my DoorDash day started. So I grabbed my DoorDash bag and I headed out. I started my shift and things were going pretty decent overall, but not the best because my acceptance rate was at right around 53%. And so I was receiving some bad orders, some good orders, and everything in between. Now, as the time ticked on, it got into the dinner hours and I finished those up. So by this point, it was around 9 o'clock and I was pretty hungry. I'd been out for quite a few hours at this point and I didn't have that good of a shift. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna head back a little early, get to bed at a decent hour and get some rest. And so at this point, I had just finished my last DoorDash order. So I turned my dash off and I texted my wife. I was like, hey, do you want Chick-fil-A? It sounds really good right now. I think I'm gonna pick myself up some. And she was like, okay, yeah, sure. And so I go to Chick-fil-A and realize they're closed after 9 o'clock, but their delivery stays open till 10 o'clock, which I thought was weird. But anyways, I was like, well, you know what? Let me just DoorDash it. Even though it costs a little bit more, Chick-fil-A just sounded so good. So this is when I got the idea. I was like, let me test this out. Since my acceptance rate is so bad right now, let me just see what happens. If my wife orders this Chick-fil-A, let's see if I can turn on my dash and get this order. That way I can save a little money. So I tell my wife what I want, she orders the food. And so what I do is I just drive around Chick-fil-A. I don't park because I knew that if I parked, I would probably not receive the order because just from past experience, I know that DoorDash doesn't really like to give orders to people who are just sedentary. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to give myself the highest possible chance to receive this order. So I'm just gonna drive around Chick-fil-A. Literally, I just made loops around the parking lot. Like I'd go through the parking lot, out onto the road, back onto another road, and then into the parking lot again. And I just kept making that loop over and over again. I probably did it 12 times or more, and I'm just waiting. And then my wife texts me and she's like, hey, the order's been picked up. And I was like, what? I didn't get the order. How was there a dasher closer to me? Like, there's no way. If they were parked and sitting in the parking lot, that's the only way they could have been closer to me. Like, I'm telling you guys, this loop that I was taking literally didn't make me go more than like 100 feet away from this Chick-fil-A. Like, I was right there the entire time. And yet someone still got the order. And so I text my wife and she tells me that this guy was actually about half a mile away from the Chick-fil-A. So I'm like, okay, well that's weird. Let me go ahead and drive back and I'm gonna try and catch this guy before he gets to my apartment and ask him what his ratings are. And so I get to my apartment, I'm waiting around for the guy. He finally shows up and he doesn't speak English at all. But luckily I was able to communicate with him as best as I could and get him to show me my ratings because I was just so curious as to how he got the order when I'm a top dasher and he was way farther away than I was to Chick-fil-A. So he shows me, and to my surprise, his acceptance rate is all the way up at 93%. Like, this guy has good ratings across the board, except for his customer rating, not that good. Mine was way better than his. So I looked at this and I was like, okay, so he has a 93% acceptance rate. I have way more orders under my belt. This guy's only done 562 orders and I'm almost at 10,000. Like, I saw this and I was like, this just goes to show DoorDash does not give a crap about tenured dashers. And I don't even know if this guy was a top dasher. I mean, if he's only done 562 deliveries, in my opinion, it seems like he may just do it part-time, just do a couple orders every week or something like that. I really don't know, but it's just weird that I was a top dasher. Who knows if he was, but the biggest thing I saw was that his acceptance rate was at 93%. He got the order from half a mile away when I was driving around Chick-fil-A waiting for this order, and I never received it, and my acceptance rate was about 40% less than his. So I tell you guys that story just because of how crazy it was that this guy was able to get that order from farther away when DoorDash literally says that it sends the orders to the best available dasher. Now, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean the dasher who's closest with the best acceptance rate? I don't know, because it seems like I would have been a better candidate for that order other than that guy, especially because my customer rating's better. I have literally 9,000 more deliveries under my belt than this guy. My on-time rating was better. And so I'm just like, how was he the better option in that scenario? But I guess from all this, we can conclude that acceptance rate really does matter. Now, I can't speak for anyone else's market other than mine, but I think it would be cool if you guys did this exact same test in your market and let me know what you find, because in my market, I have truly seen a huge difference when it comes to a low acceptance rate and a high acceptance rate. So if any of you guys do that, please let me know, because I think it would help all of us out get a better understanding of what DoorDash is looking for and help everyone get better orders and make more money as a DoorDash driver. So it's a win-win. So before I go real quick, I just wanted to mention that no, a higher acceptance rating does not mean you're gonna make more money on average per hour. It literally has nothing to do with that. That is truly based on market and the specific strategy that works best in that area. So for a lot of you guys out there, cherry picking might be the best strategy. Maybe there's a surplus of orders all the time and you can just decline until you get the order that fits your needs. But in other markets, this truly might come in handy because maybe other markets are really oversaturated with dashers, and any edge you can have against those other dashers could really come in handy. So that's why I make this video. That's why I give you guys this information. That's why I did this whole test. So just remember, if you want to stop receiving bad orders consistently throughout the day, try getting that acceptance rate up. Let me know what that does for you, because I'd be curious to know. If you got good information out of this video and enjoyed it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see me DoorDash for 24 hours straight accepting every order, click this video right here and you'll be able to see me do a full day of accepting every single order. Anyways, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.